All right, all right. Welcome back to another episode of the Behind the Back podcast. We are your hosts. I'm Marcos Conde Negron. Right next to me here is Elena Conde Cool, and beside me here, as always, is Ben the Jet Rets. Ben, how are you, brother?
Dude, she's taking my spot for the week.
I know. Hogging up the mic over here, taking a little second while Mom gets ready, take care of some stuff. But yeah, things are good. Hey, dude, happy Darius Acuff Day. Am I right?
Dude, it better be. It better be.
All right, guys. So as you guys know, this draft day in the NBA, and we are going to be going live with it and, breaking down each pick and seeing, hopefully who joins the fold here in Sacramento. But before we start, because we have a few minutes before the first pick here, we had to bring to attention the Giannis trade. He's now traded to Miami, and
Wow.
that's in what was a crazy trade. A lot of players left Miami to go to Milwaukee, but I don't want to talk about the ins and outs of the trade so much as, what do we think this means for Sacramento? As, you had predicted that going into this, that there was going to be a trade, a team that jumps up and makes a trade here in the lottery. So do we think now that Milwaukee making this trade and getting 2 draft picks here, I think they got, 10 and 13. So
Yep.
do we think, do you think they're in play to potentially move up a little further?
Yeah, absolutely. And they've shown interest in Darius Acuff Jr. throughout this whole draft process. So I'm definitely worried. And we talked about it. I was like, I'm worried that a team who's not a part of the lottery, like a Milwaukee, like a OKC, is going to find their way there and totally screw things up for the rest of the board. And now with those reports coming out about it being Darius is who the Bucks are interested in, they have the ammo to potentially move up and swoop him away.
Yeah, and that's the problem because, they got back, Hero, Hawkes, Kalel Ware. They got, all the good role players from Miami, but they didn't get a star. And pairing them all with Darius might be the way to go. So it wouldn't be far-fetched if Milwaukee did make a trade. But hopefully we get there. Do you think, okay, last thing before we do that, hopefully we get there before the first pick, but what about the opportunity if we're the team that they decide to trade with at 10 or 13 and they offer that for 7? What do you think about that option if they were to offer us that?
I mean, it depends on how the board falls, but I already told you, dude, I'm not huge on the Kings moving back in this draft. I believe, we've done the draft dive at this point, and you and I have come to the consensus agreement that, we have 2 guys, and those 2 guys are not going to be available, likely not going to be available if we move back. So, yeah, there's other guys we can get, and you look at it and you're like, yeah, you could have, 2 picks in the lottery. That's, more of an opportunity to hit, but it's just this is the opportunity to get your guy. I just don't want to move back, but we'll see.
Yeah, so we'll see who's on the board. How are we looking here going into the first pick? So what we're doing is, Ben has it on his phone. I fumbled, it's just hard with my setup here. So I'm going to let Ben do all the announcing for all these picks, guys. So stay tuned. This is going to be great.
No, we're good. So we've got about 2:45 left until the Wizards are making their pick. So
okay.
I want to ask you one question here before we dive in.
Yes.
There were 2 trades yesterday, and I mean, it was the Giannis trade and then the Julius Randle trade.
That's right.
Out of the 2 of those, which one surprised you the most?
I would guess surprise would be Randle because,
Same.
Because we all knew Giannis was going somewhere,
Yeah.
and the reporting was there. I was not expecting Julius Randle to go, but I actually really like that move for Minnesota. I think it's good for what they're trying to do. I think it's like addition by subtraction because you let Ant and that group play a little more free flowing versus having Julius Randle ISO ball. It'll be a little different, but it was definitely surprising.
Yeah, it caught me off guard. When they made the trade for Julius and they kind of invested in him as one of the primary big men alongside with Gobert, I was like, man, that's a nice team. They've made a run a couple different times with him, and out of all the guys on that team, I didn't expect Julius Randle to be the one coming out the door, but there was some reporting there. It was definitely talked about as a potential move, and that was the direction they went. So the pick is in for
All right.
Washington.
It's gonna be
We're
AJ.
gonna see here in a second who Adam Silver comes out and announces, but this is exciting, dude. 2026 is underway.
I know, and now, if it is AJ, we'll talk about it in a second, but the Wizards are in a very interesting spot. I have a question about the Wizards, too, when we talk about their pick here. I'm so curious.
Okay, here we go. Adam is Stepping
probably
up.
going to do an intro. Welcome to the NBA draft. 60 kids, 60 players and a rare thing, whatever.
Yeah, right. Okay, here we go.
With the first pick.
The Washington Wizards select AJ DeBanza.
Yes, as expected.
Yeah.
Not as expected. Congratulations to AJ. Sucks that he didn't get his Utah dream, but it'll be interesting to see how that goes. The Wizards also had some news. Trae Young, we talked about it last time. He opted out, only for him to sign a max deal that trumps Fox's contract, bro. Do you think this is a good move for Washington? Well, now that they have AJ, so Trae, AJ plus this group, there's talks with Anthony Davis, but nothing certain yet. He's looking for a deal. So let's imagine in this world they keep AD. What do you think about this team?
I think there's potential, but it's all about staying healthy. And honestly, Trae's in his prime right now. AD is probably at the end of his prime, and both of these guys need to figure out ways to stay on the court, stay healthy. But if the health is there and the chemistry develops early enough, this is a solid group, and they've got some solid depth pieces as well. Where it's you can look at them going towards the end of the season, and they could be a team to watch down the stretch. As they potentially make a push. I don't know if I put them up there as a top contender, 1 through 4. I would say they're probably slotting somewhere fifth to eighth in my opinion.
Sure, they definitely have potential, especially if Czar continues to build. They have Trey Johnson, they have good young pieces there. And now you add AJ to the fold, who you can train to be your true number one. And with Trey, that takes a lot of pressure off AJ to have to do more than more than he has to. Trey is a great point guard to get him settled in. So I think this is a great place for AJ. I think the Wizards are in a good spot. I'm sure Wizards fans everywhere are celebrating the crap out of this.
Yeah, this was who we wanted,
Yeah, it's
halfway through the season when the Kings were bottom of the league, we were stoked because it meant that the DeBanza dream was on par. But unfortunately, it didn't shake that way. We kind of knew how this was going to go. Shout out to Washington. They tanked hard enough to get AJ DeBanza.
They made the right pick too. I got to give them that. I'm glad they didn't overthink it and try to do something did fancy with it.
Yeah, I don't. And there was, you see that every single year where it's will they overthink the first pick? But realistically, it never happens. I think the past
all the fodder, bro.
As far as I can remember, I don't remember the last time a team took a number one pick that wasn't the most projected, number one pick. So it's just typically know what the pick is. So pick is in for Utah for number 2.
Who do we think
here as that develops? I think it's Darren, dude.
Yeah, I would take him too.
It was pretty consensus amongst the mock drafts and the analysts and draft specialists that these two guys, AJ and Darren, were the two best college athletes in terms of their floor level talent as well as what their projected ceiling is going to be. And so for the better part of 60 to 80% of more like 80% of the college season, we were talking about these two guys as being the top 2 picks, and there really wasn't a debate outside of those guys very much. So I would be shocked if Darren isn't the guy that's on his way over to Utah.
Yes, absolutely. I think he was clear cut the most NBA looking guy here. I'm excited to see. Because if they take Boozer, that'd just be interesting. I just think with the fit of it all. But definitely I think it's DP here.
Okay,
I'm going to do the handoff here.
All right, Adam is stepping up to the plate. Okay, with the second pick in the 2026 NBA draft, the Utah Jazz select Darren Peterson.
We knew it. Yep. There we go. DP. Bye, Elena. Yes, it was a good move. Elena. Excellent pick.
Okay. And you look at what Utah is doing in the rebuild direction that they're going in, if you want to call it that, because they're just about rebuilt in a lot of ways.
Right. They made the trades.
They did. They made the trades. They set themselves up. They really made the most of everything that they had. And you I think you can look at this team right now and say that they're 2 years away from, a potential solid playoff team.
Yeah, especially with the veterans that you have on that team. If DP,
Right.
Does what he is projected to do earlier than expected, there's no reason to believe this team can't be a top six playoff team.
Yeah, even as early as this year. Yeah, exactly.
Because you got him, Keontae, Jaren Jackson, Kessler. There's a whole contract dispute going on right now, so I don't know what's going to happen with him. But then you still have Markkanen, and they have a really good bench with a bunch of young dudes plus Ace Bailey. They have a good roster. So I think that if these guys make the jump, it's going to be because these young guys popped off. Jaren Jackson's really comfortable, and that brief stint that we got with all of them, they looked really good. So they're definitely a team to watch.
Yeah, definitely.
Kind of reminds me of the Spurs, how they ended up with the second pick in Harper, and that was the missing piece for them.
Yep. So these two guys are off the board. This is as projected so far. We've got Memphis up next. Way. So, what direction do you think Memphis is going in here?
If I feel like the trend's going to continue where it's consensus and it's going to be Boozer.
Yeah.
But I think if the Grizzlies want to stick with basically a Jaren Jackson replacement, you could talk.
Caleb?
They can talk themselves into Caleb. It's going to be really interesting here. This also could be a potential trade spot if someone wants to get crazy. I don't think it's going to happen though. But I think they're going to play. I think they're going to play it safe and take Boozer. That's my guess for pick 3 here.
Yeah, I agree with you. I can see a world where they do take Caleb Wilson.
I won't be mad if they do. I mean, I will be, but
I mean, yeah, but it would make so much sense. Just the fact that you kind of look at their roster construction, they could go both ways, and they could make you could make an argument for both sides and say that this one fits the other better or whatnot. This is a nice place to be in if you're Memphis because you've got options, so many options,
and they got multiple picks. I know they have one in the teens too, so it's they can go in one specific direction if they feel they want the forwards or the guards, and then take whatever the next time. Yeah, Memphis, they're gonna have they sold off their team and are trying to reap the reward. So it's up to them to hit these picks, and I think Boozer is probably the safest bet.
Pick is in quick.
Okay, great. That means they had this decision ready to go. I mean, it's pretty easy. I think it's just going to be the top 4 guys are going to be the top 4, and then at 5 is where it gets interesting.
Yeah. How do you? All right, this is a random question.
No, for sure, we got time.
This thing up, but Shams just did a whole thing. Oh, what do you think of Shams? Do you think he's doing a good job replacing the Woj bombs?
Replacing, no, but I think I think Woj was on a one of his own tier. Just the greatest of all time type of guy. But I think that Shams does fine. I think he tries to push. I think Woj did less rumor mill stuff. At least it felt like to me. When Woj said something, it was usually oh, this is going to happen, most likely. I know the information. And Shams has been predicting this Giannis trade for 4 years, trying to call it out. And it hasn't hit until just now when everyone knew it was coming. So it was an interesting thing, especially because it was memeable and Giannis was trolling him for it. So I thought it was, I think it's definitely, it's not nothing. I think Shams is fine, but I think the whole the NBA reporting and analyzing of it all could be a lot better.
Okay, here we go.
Let's see it.
Adam Silver's walking up.
For copyright purposes, we can't show you guys, so we know you're watching at home. I know.
All right, 3rd pick in the draft, 2026 draft. Cam Boozer.
It's Cam Boozer. See, so they went safe. So we go to so the Memphis Grizzlies. I still don't really know what their roster looks like, and will they trade Ja? Is that going to happen tonight, or are they still planning on doing that? But they do have some young pieces, so
they do. Yeah, I mean, that's going to get interesting too. The whole Ja Morant thing, because. There is a plethora of teams right now that have shown some interest in Ja over the past basically year. And right now you've got a handful that are actively interested in the Ja sweepstakes. Personally, if this draft goes the way that I want it to, and we get like a Darius, I'll just say like a Darius, I'll say Darius Acuff. I personally don't want to bring in Ja, but like if the draft doesn't go the way that we want it to, or say we move back or whatever the case may be, and this draft looks a lot different for the Kings, where you end up after both these rounds saying we still need a point guard. Maybe then you explore it, but even still, we're rebuilding, right? Are we rebuilding? Yeah. Like that's kind of the question that I'm trying to push here. If I'm a Kings fan, is like, what are we trying to do as an organization?
Right, and I think that depends on what we're going to be able to do these next few months with the veterans Domas, Levine, and DeMar. And we've had the DeMar rumors of there's potential that they're going to waive him and stretch his contract. He's only guaranteed $10 million. That way DeMar can become a free agent and go where he wants to go. So that'd be the first old guy out of the way. Then it's on to trying to figure out maybe a trade partner for Domas or Levine, anyone desperate enough to take on the contracts. So it'll be. For the Kings, I don't know. And like there's dudes being out there offered, like the Pelicans are saying Trey Murphy and Herb Jones are available for the right price. Or at least 2 first-round picks, right? But like maybe if we it's something that you think about, and you wonder if a team like the Warriors or the Lakers or one of these top teams say F it and try to go for the win with one of those dudes.
Yeah, I mean you could. I heard that the Warriors were showing interest in Trey Murphy. And the rumor mill had it that they would give up their 13th or 11th pick for him.
11th pick,
like, dang. Yeah. Like if that's the market for Trey Murphy, I don't know if that's kind of the move you want to make right now, because you've got Keegan, who, granted he's he's not on Trey Murphy level right now, but you've invested in Keegan. You've invested in Keegan as an organization. You feel like he's your guy for the future, and you want to lean on him to be that wing. You want to lean on him to be that Trey Murphy for the Sacramento Kings. So I don't know that trading for him is necessarily the best move.
I agree. I do think that the best case scenario here is getting Darius, because I love Keegan, and for the 4th overall pick, yes, he might have not lived up to that potential just yet. We've been giving him time, and last year was just shitty injury luck, right? So I still believe in Keegan, but I think he thrived when he's a secondary guy. I think he can be the second best player, third best player on a championship team. So I think the best case scenario would be getting Darius and letting him take the reins of all these pieces that we have around him. That's exactly how he thrived in college too. So I think that would be what I'm hoping for sure.
Okay, pick is in for Chicago.
Caleb Wilson, easy.
I also see that I am behind. I don't know how much, but a decent amount. I don't know how, but anyway. So
you're behind.
I am. So we might be able to click through here, but let's see who Chicago's got. Okay, Adam Silver's walking up.
Caleb Wilson.
It's got to be, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm feeling. There's no way. I know they traded for Claxton, but
4th pick in the draft is Caleb Wilson. Okay.
Enjoy Chicago. Enjoy Chicago, Caleb.
That's a good spot for him.
Oh, yeah.
They've got an opportunity.
An opportunity. Yeah. I mean, they have all the guards in the world, and now they just traded for Claxton and added Wilson. So now they kind of have if they want to run, they're going to be running like crazy. I think that's going to be their tactic this year, is just sprint.
Well, and you were really high on Caleb. So, I mean,
I'm so excited for him.
I mean, what immediately does he bring to Chicago?
Well, it's definitely that mentality, that intensity, that want to win. The players, they were filming all the draft prospects for their players that they model their game after, and Caleb Wilson was the last one. He said Kobe, and I'm like, he was the only guy who kind of went that old school style. I think he does bring that kind of intensity to the game, and I think going to a place like Chicago with that, with Jordan, the aura of Jordan around there, I think it's a perfect place for him, and he gets the opportunity to be the best player on that team. Because like Josh Giddey is like that force of the point guard that he can make him really good, and he's a really good distributor. Not to mention his defense is insane, and you pair him with Claxton, who is also a good defender. So I think all of a sudden the Bulls get to turn into that lengthy, long team that's just going to frustrate you and have really good guard play. But there's going to be growing pains. But Caleb, I think his ceiling is the highest of anyone in this draft because of his athleticism, his size, and what he likes to do and how he operates in the game. And he would have been a guy that if we added him, it would have been franchise altering. But I think, for Chicago, they get a really great guy. So good shout out to Caleb. I'm going to be rooting for him during his career.
Hell yeah. All right. So I just fast forwarded. So I'm current now. We didn't miss a pick or anything. We're still right on the money. But
pick 5.
We got a minute and 30 left until the Clippers pick is in. So
I'm surprised.
We feel like the Clippers are going?
Well, that's the thing. Are they going to make a trade? Are they waiting till the last second for someone to drop a bomb and trade the pick? But it's going to be either Keaton or Michael. That's been the whole rumors, is that one of these two guys is going to this team. Which honestly for them I think works better than them drafting Darius, because if they're going to work with the other Darius, you don't want to pair him with someone the same size. You could pair Keaton or Michael with Darius as shooters. So
I just this is the pick to me where Darius could go.
These next two.
True. I feel like it's the Clippers more than it is the Nets, but I don't know for sure. I mean, I just feel like
I'm just worried about
the Clippers
trade.
hosted him. Both hosted him for workouts, but the Keaton thing is what stands out to me because of that workout that you mentioned in the last episode where they did some one-on-ones and it seemed like the Clippers were higher on Keaton and he had the better workout and everything. I think that kind of thing means something. You don't need to overthink certain things, and this might be one of those. So we'll see. Pick is in.
The pick's in. I was listening to Tim Legler on Bill Simmons' podcast. They were talking about Keaton, and they said Legler was like, out of all the shooting forms and the way that guys can finish their shot, that's how you can tell they're a really solid shooter. He said Keaton was one of the few guys in this draft that does it. So he believes that his shooting is going to translate in the next level.
I mean, I won't lie. Like
Tyrese.
I definitely looked at some film on him, and I watched him throughout the year a bit, but not as much as some of these other guys. He's got game, dude. Like if he goes to the Clippers, he's gonna immediately impact that team. So I don't think that would be a bad pick for them whatsoever.
Yeah, people worry about his athleticism, but I mean, you see guys who play at a slower pace that he might struggle at first to the speed and the pace, but I think once halfway through the season, once he gets a flow of it, and then he'll be in complete control. I do think he's going to have a good career.
Yeah, and I mean, look at a guy like Kyle Anderson, slow-mo, right? I mean, This is a guy who just, he's not the most athletic in any way, shape, or form, but he has utilized his IQ. Adam's walking up, and he's leveraged what he's got from a skill standpoint to make the most of it. So Adam is at the plate. The pick is in with the fifth
give it some flair.
In the NBA draft. The Clippers select.
Hit it.
Keaton Wagler.
Nice. All right.
Okay.
So they did go Keaton. Now this is it, Ben. This is it. This pick right here will decide the whole fate of the Sacramento Kings next year. Do the Brooklyn Nets, who are on the clock now, get Michael Brown Jr., or do they decide to go Darius, or do they go a different direction in general, or do they make a trade?
So the back thing with Michael Brown Jr., when this all started and the draft process started heating up, not just in Sacramento but in the league in general, the back thing with Michael Brown was a bigger deal than it is now. Let me put it that way. Now a lot of it's just being kind of chalked up to the growth spurt that he had. And so, if you as a team feel confident that Michael Brown Jr. is just fine, it's just a growth spurt, he's got to get over the back issue, but as long as, he keeps doing the work that he's been doing, he's going to be fine. He's a hell of a talent. And I think that is what this pick would mean if Brooklyn goes that direction. Now, it's between him and Darius. We'll see. Darius, to me, feels safer.
Yeah, but when you look at their roster and you look at their coach, Jordi Fernandez, you want a guy who could be a little bit more versatile. I think Michael Brown defensively gives you more than what Darius would. Yeah. Not to mention they traded away Claxton, and now they have Randall. So maybe do they want someone who's a little bit more, all around in that sense? Because we just don't know what Darius is as a defender. So that'll be That'll be the hard part. But I think Michael Brown and Randall, plus they got Igor Demon, like they got ball handlers on that team. So I think that they want to try and maximize. So hopefully Michael Brown would be the pick here. They could go center. They could take that Ademara kid if they wanted to go, replace their center. But they also have some guys in the back end too. So
I'm watching highlights of Keaton's 46-point just explosion.
That was the first game I saw of him because I just happened to turn it on versus Purdue, and like they were down, and I was hoping, and they just started draining threes. They had like 4 in a row, and I was like, oh my gosh! And I was every time Keaton shot the ball, because I was rooting for Andre Stojakovic at the time. I was like, oh, give him the ball, because I had no idea who Keaton was, and I was like, who's this dude just chucking up threes and draining them, bro? It was crazy. It was such a cool
9
game.
of 11 from behind the arc. That's crazy.
Yeah. Every shot I thought he was taking, I was like, oh, like that's kind of bold, and it just swishes. I was like, this dude's crazy. So I was like, okay. Once Illinois got along, it was more fun watching him.
He's got a smooth rhythm to him. The way that like when you see him in rhythm, and he's feeling it, like he's smooth, and that's the part of it that you draft him for the hope of just consistently seeing.
Hey, one thing that we should consider, because how we had the De'Aaron Fox, Lonzo Ball dynamic of it all. We've heard multiple occasions where like Keaton got the best of Kingston Flemings, and not to mention in the Final Four, Keaton destroyed him in the game. So I was wondering, Kingston versus Keaton, with like their part of their careers, will Kingston ever, really get the better of him, or will Keaton kind of be that thorn in his side, kind of like De'Aaron Fox was to Lonzo Ball type thing,
That's an interesting perspective.
Random storyline.
Yeah.
Just thinking about it, because depending on what happens here, there's a world we end up with Kingston. That's what we talked about. So I wonder, we're playing the Clippers 4 times a year. Keaton, that's the guy. We're going to be seeing him more than anybody else. So it'll be interesting.
The thing with Fox and Ball that was so special was it was the Lakers. Like, granted, it's still an LA team, right? But it's not nearly the same amount of weight as if you're talking about the Lakers. And that to me was like when Ball was a Laker and De'Aaron Fox was a King, it just in a way reignited a bit of that rivalry that we hadn't seen because the Kings had been so shitty for so long at that point.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool, and it really did reignite it because De'Aaron, every single time he would go up against Ball, which Ball would love to duck those initial battles between the two.
Missed out, bro.
When he finally did, he dominated. Like, Fox made it a point to be like, yeah, I'm the better player. And now it's not even a debate. Like, granted, he played really poorly in the playoffs and the finals, but like you don't question who the better player is at this point. And I mean, you could probably chalk some of that up to the injury history with Lonzo, but in respect to him, he's made a hell of a comeback from a lot of those injuries. But
yeah. Plus the LeVar Ball of it all at the time, the whole BB, big baller brand. Crazy stuff, bro. There was a villain, and now it made it even, especially when it was the Lakers, it was even better too. You're right. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I'm anxious. I just need them to pick Michael Brown so then we can just pick is in like 2 seconds, bro.
The pick is in, but it's not announced yet. They're showing your boy Braden Burry's up there. Your boy who doesn't want to come to Sacktown. What's that about, man? Nah,
it's okay. We don't need him. We don't need him. He's a 2-guard. We don't need another freaking 2-guard. We got Neek. But I do think Burry's could serve like. I'm excited for him. I think he's going to end up on a really good team. It'll be interesting if he ends up on the Warriors, because if he ends up on the Warriors, he's taking Pod's position. That's good. Oh, yeah, that's the end. It's literally what they thought they were going to get out of Pods is hopefully what Burry's will be able to give them, and that's Burry's has that potential. He's really good off the ball. He's kind of a pest. He never. He plays with a lot of energy, and he's made some pretty big shots, and I respected what Braden did for Arizona last year. He had a bunch of highlight plays. That dunk on Baylor was crazy, and he had the big shot in the I forget which round it was, but when we played Utah State, he had that big shot and had that sequence where he was making big plays. I think that Burries is a really talented player, and he's a winner. He's won at every level. Like, he was a state champion when he was in high school for LA. He knows how to impact the game, and he got that Arizona education. So you got some good players out of there. So
sure.
Oh my God, who's the pick?
Okay, here we go. Adam's walking out.
Michael Brown, please. Please, bro.
If it is, it's got to be Darius to us, right?
Yes, it has to be. I think the pick will be in a minute.
Here we go. With the 6th pick in the 2026 NBA draft, the Brooklyn Nets select Michael Brown Jr.
Let's go!
Come on!
Let's go! It's Darius Day, baby! Come on.
Unless we fumble.
Hopefully. Oh my God. All right, now we're on the clock. Nah.
Okay, so let me ask you.
Okay.
Our guys
Come
are
on.
here. Our guys are here. Darius is here and Flemings is here. So we want Darius, right? But would you be upset if it's Flemings?
I will be disappointed knowing that Darius was there.
Yeah.
Is what I would say. I will support Kingston if we choose him right now. Like I'll be like, I'm gonna be shocked though. I want Darius in this spot. There's
the comparison between him and Fox, between Kingston Flemings and Fox, that has been talked about for months now, that I can't get out of my head. Because I'm like, what if the Kings jump on that train? They know what they had here for 8 years in Sacramento. It was a guy that they invested in. They see Flemings as a potential suitor for the same role, and it's like, this is our guy. You know how Vivek gets. He sees his guy. He just wants his guy, and it doesn't really matter what everybody else says. So at least that's the impression it leaves. I don't know.
I think he's gonna want the guy that is gonna draw the biggest ratings, especially with how last year went. I think it has to be Darius. The numbers, what he did in college, the way he stood out, the way he plays is exactly what we need. He's a number one. He's a number one player, and he gets to grow with this super young core that we are building. We just have those old vets that are hanging there, but once they're gone, it's these young dudes who just get to run with it. And I think him and Max would be awesome together.
He's 19, right?
Yes, he's a freshman. So 19.
And that's the other thing too, though. Like, we haven't drafted a young guard
since Fox.
Long. Yeah, it has been.
Well, I guess Fox, Halliburton, but when we needed a point guard, the last time we needed a point guard that we were able to get this high was Fox. This is the same feeling I have. I think it's going to be. Yeah, I'm excited.
This is the last point guard that we've needed. This is the first point guard we've needed in 8 years. Right? Like, we've had our point guard in Fox for years. This is the first time since then that we're going into a draft saying, we need a point guard. That's wild.
Yeah. So this is going to be interesting, and at least we actually need one. Oh man, I hope we take him. Darius just has so much offensive upside.
Pick is in.
Okay, here we go. I knew. Okay. Ben, give me some flair on this one. Let it rip.
It's not yet. It's just the pick is in. They're still interviewing Michael Brown Jr., which, by the way, I will say, because I don't think we talked about it enough.
No. Congratulations.
That's a good pick for Brooklyn. I think they're in a spot where it makes sense. You look at his versatility, like you said, you pointed out. It makes a lot of sense for Jordi Fernandez and what they're trying to build out there in Brooklyn. But, Brooklyn's they're like the Kings. They've got a number of years ahead of them. I mean, granted, they did just get Julius Randle. That's a piece, and that's a building point. But, you also got a question, too. Julius is what, 29? Maybe not.
No, I think he's older.
31?
Something like that. He's in his 30s for sure. But,
so he doesn't necessarily fit the age group that Brooklyn has got going.
Right. I think they're probably either gonna move him or they're gonna try and just play out the rest of his career there. But he also has when you consider him and Michael Porter Jr., there's not going to be many shots to go around for some of these guys. So they have offense, and then you just surround them with plucky young guards and athletic players who can help support them, and then let them take over. They got the veteran presence of the guys who they think can make shots. So we'll see. Yeah. It's an interesting scenario for Jordy. I think his team that he had previously was more up his style, but they were also just tanking. So whatever.
Okay, here we go. It's cutting. Yep. Okay, here we go. I don't know for sure if this is the pick. But they're showing the stage and everything. It better
Darius
be.
Darius Acuff. Come on.
Okay, this is it.
Come on. Oh gosh. Come
With
on!
the 7th pick in the 2026 NBA Draft, the Sacramento Kings select Darius Acuff.
Let's go! Come on! Yes!
On, man.
Let's go, baby! Yes! Darius Acuff. Oh my God, bro. Yes,
Dude,
let's go.
That's sick.
So you're telling me we get a player who, was the best offensive player in college basketball last year, was the focal point of his offense, and you guys, this is perfect time. I get to bring up the player profile we already had set up for him when we talked about him in the preview, and you already see what he brings to the table. Like, Darius Acuff Jr. is a one-of-one type of guard, and he comes from John Calipari, the king of the point guards in the NBA. A lot of the top guards that we see now were coached by that same man, and it'll be interesting to see. For the Kings, I think this is perfect. And you get a guy who's a top 5 talent at pick 7. We didn't have to move. We didn't have to go crazy and try to trade up and, try to lose any leverage we have and give up any capital. He fell to us. It was the NBA's worst kept secret in terms of the draft, the mock drafts. It felt like he was going to come here. So for him to land here, that's awesome. Darius Acuff Jr., baby, let's freaking go.
Yeah.
Cali Classic's going to be lit.
Yeah, it is. You felt like if the board fell this way, the way that it did, the Kings were going to pick Darius. The concerning part was whether the board was going to fall that way because there was so much talent to go around and so many teams that could have gone in different directions. And then you had to throw in the whole factor of do the Bucks join in, do the Thunder join in, right? So we got through all first 7 picks, no trades. The Kings didn't trade back. And you took the guy that was projected to go to you, the guy who was the most interested in coming to Sacramento. His camp was interested. We were interested in him.
Love to hear it.
This is a W. This is a great pick for the Sacramento Kings, and hopefully it is a monumental building block moving forward.
Darius! Yeah, no, this is exactly what Sacramento needs. The Beam team really needs this. I think Darius Acuff will bring a lot to the table when we talk about the roster itself. There's gonna be some interesting questions now. It's like, does Russell Westbrook want to come back and teach this young guy, how to play the game right? But
please do.
He instantly comes in and he's the starter. I don't think no matter what happens, Darius Acuff is going to be the starting point guard for the Sacramento Kings next year, which is a crazy thing to say. And it'll be interesting to see what he gets from some of these guys over the summer. I wonder if he gets to play, if we're going to see Neek and Max in the, Summer League or Cali Classic. I don't think Max will, but I think we might see Neek. But it'll be interesting to see Darius gelling with these guys and taking over that mantle of the guy who will have the ball in his hands when it matters the most for the Sacramento Kings. And I have a lot of faith that Darius is going to bring a lot to the table.
Yeah, I do too. You made a comment earlier that that kind of stood out to me when we initially drafted Darius, and that was you get a guy that pretty much immediately brings some thunder, some immediate sparkling lights, somebody who is going to be a ticket sales kind of guy. It's going to be a ton of fun to watch basically a young Damian Lillard go crazy in Sacramento. In a way, this doesn't fix the pick, the non-pick of Damian Lillard, but in a way, it's a slight redemption because you take a guy who's very similar, at least from an offensive trajectory, and you get to kind of see how it pans out.
Yeah, and man, there's just so much potential. Obviously, we never know, who's going to hit and who doesn't, but he feels like when you watch him on film, he feels as right of a pick as any of the other ones. And, you get a chance like this to take a swing on a player like Darius, who was so successful where he was. And again, what's fun about this draft is a lot of these guys went up against each other multiple times during the season, and we got to see them in big games against each other, and they all just seem to step up to the plate. These guys, this draft class in particular, seems to have a bunch of fearless players, and I think Darius has a chip on his shoulder, and I think that he's the kind of player, it's like we said, it's important for Sacramento Kings fans that we get players that want to be here. When you get guys that are committed to this city and show an interest in wanting to be on our team, we ride with them till the end. And that's why it was so heartbreaking when a guy like Tyrese Haliburton gets traded, because he felt like one of those guys you could ride with his whole career. And, I hope for Darius, has connections with the organization, has an interest in the organization. I hope, I know Sacramento's going to give him a warm welcome. So when he plays in the Cali Classic, bro, this stadium's going to get packed for summer. It's going to be really fun. So let's talk a little bit more about Darius Acuff. So Darius Acuff, they're quick to write these articles here on Bleacher Report. This is from, I had his name and I totally forgot it, Zach Buckley. He's doing kind of a live-on-live thing, breaking down, giving grades for each team. So when we go to the Kings, I'm going to read off a little excerpt here of what he said from Zach Buckley from Bleacher Report. While all arrows point towards Acuff being a one-way contributor, certainly at this early stage of his career, but possibly for its duration without major improvements, his offensive upside is so towering that those defensive deficiencies are almost forgiven. He can consistently create advantages, then rely on his strength, shot making, and passing vision to capitalize on them. His defense is legitimately dreadful, though, both in terms of engagement and execution. So there's a ton of pressure on him to be awesome on offense. To his credit, he's been that before, but he still faces a steep climb to make that happen at this level as a smaller guard who isn't a great athlete. Sacramento has had standing needs for legitimate stardom and dynamic scoring and creation. Acuff has a non-zero chance of scratching both itches. And this is an A- grade from Bleacher Report. So
A-, okay.
So what do you think they did, I didn't read that first part of the little excerpt. They did mention that sitting there and taking him at 7 was good business. They agreed to kind of what, we were talking about, like that we didn't do that. So that initial assessment of Darius Acuff, does that make you feel better about how we just felt when he got drafted?
I felt good about it in general.
That's so sick, bro. We got Darius Acuff.
The good point in that is that we didn't move up. I mean, the Kings, like I said, were kind of eyeing Darius now for a while. And I think that it's easy with, everything happening, especially last night with Milwaukee and potentially moving in to the lottery there. It's easy to be like, okay, you know what, just to make sure that we get our guy, let's move up a little bit. But to stand pat and still get your guy is always good business. On top of that, dreadful defense was the exact quote there from our boy. I think, if his offensive game works out the way that we want it to, and we're drafting him to do, you put the right pieces around him defensively, and I don't think you're gonna have too many issues. Hopefully.
No, absolutely. So, Sacramento Kings, Darius Acuff Jr., welcome to the Beam team, brother. You're going to make this beam shine, bro. I'm so excited. This is a huge win. Like, again, dream scenario. This is exactly what we talked about. We wanted him. We said this is our BTB guy. Now we end up getting him. So we've been pretty, obviously this one was mocked pretty obvious. It looked like it was coming our way. But, in recent draft years, we've kind of been on point with some of the guys that have been rumored to Sacramento or might be coming here. So again, to get the guy that we were hoping for, it just feels like a huge win.
Yeah, it's cool, and it's nice to know that we didn't overthink it. Look, we have faith in Scott Perry, and he's pulled through so far in the first draft and a half for the Sacramento Kings. So depending on how this second round goes with pick 35, I think. We could see another W draft from Scotty.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, we'll see what happens here in the second round for Sacramento Kings, unless they decide to move up. But what we're going to do now is, because we have a lot of stuff going on in the day-to-day. You obviously saw my little baby here earlier on. What we're going to do is we're going to just talk about, as we're going to kind of come in here in bits and pieces on certain big moments that we're excited for, because we want to try and keep it Sacramento Kings related. But obviously we got to see, what our division drafts, and so we got to talk about a few of those. So we'll talk about those as they come up, but we're going to be a little bit in and out here, so don't be surprised, okay? So we're going to start, but right now what happened was Atlanta Hawks just selected Kingston. So they, how do you feel, about Kingston real quick now they ended up going to Atlanta?
That's good. It's a good pick for them. I mean, Kingston's a good player, and I think fit-wise, replacing Trae Young, it's a solid pickup for them.
Yeah, especially he gets to go to that team that focuses on athleticism and defense.
True.
And we also saw that Morris Johnson was the 9th pick to Dallas, and Dusty Baker, the coach of Michigan, is now the head coach of the Dallas Mavericks. They announced that yesterday. So he picks a Michigan dude, but it wasn't Yaxel. That's an interesting one. I mean, Morris Johnson seems like an interesting player, but I don't know about that.
It's odd to me because they play the same position too. They're both power forwards. It's like you can't say that the Mavs picked him because of a fit thing. No,
him and Cooper,
genuinely they picked him because they believe that Morez is a better player than Yaxel. It's weird to me.
Yeah, maybe it's how he wants to use him. All right, we're gonna wait and see here. We're gonna pop back up at pick 11 for the Golden State Warriors. Okay, so we're here now, and they drafted Yaxel. So we get to play Yaxel 4 times a year. How do you feel about that? I think that's a great pick for them.
That's a great pick. I hate that we're going to have to play him 4 times a year.
Yeah, defensively, it'll be interesting. Him and Acuff are probably going to have some serious battles. But, because Steph won't be able to guard Darius.
Yeah, right.
I'm so excited.
The thing with Lundeborg is like, he's 6'9", 7'3", plus wingspan.
Mm-hmm.
This is the kind of size mixed with versatility that the Warriors were like desperate for. And
yeah.
I hate that they were able to get him, honestly, at 11, because I think Yaxel could have gone as early as 9.
Yeah, absolutely. And it'll be interesting now when he sees his coach, if there's a little bit more of a chip on his shoulder next time he plays them. So yeah, we're gonna breeze on through here, and we're gonna see when the next division rival makes a pick here. All right, Benny, we got big news coming out. The Knicks and the Lakers made a trade, and they traded for our boy Cameron Carr.
No.
So we were talking about him, right? We were talking about him. Would we have taken him at 7? Like, we really like this guy, and now we have to hate watch him 4 times out of the year. How do you feel about that? Damn it, dude.
I'm actually really upset because it looked like for a second there he might slide to the second round. Just the slightest.
I mean,
bit,
it's pick
right?
24. Yeah.
Right. Like, you get through 11 more picks and the Kings are on the board, and you've got a hell of a draft building. But yeah, he gets selected, and of course he has to go to a division rival where now we can never say that he's good. So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's a bum. Sucks. He wasn't that good anyway.
Trash.
Call him Dalton Connect 2.0 and just
realistically, dude, it's a really good pick for the Lakers. And I don't understand if you're Mike Brown and the New York Knicks, why you don't just
take him
pat and then take your guy. Like, I need to get into the details to see how that trade went down, but like that to me seems really weird. Kings are sending the 34th pick and a future second rounder to Cleveland as part of the deal.
That's
Sacramento
fine.
really
That's
liked
fine.
Karaban and was worried he wouldn't be there at 34 tomorrow.
Oh, so we're taking Karaban now. We're trading up for Karaban. Interesting pick. Malik Thomas is available. Koa Pete, Chris Sinek, Isaiah Evans, Henry Vassar. Yeah, Karaban might be. Baba Miller's available.
Okay, pick
Richie
is in.
Saunders.
Here we go. Okay, with the 29th pick, the Cavs,
29.
which is now
For
the
Sacramento.
Kings pick, have selected Alex Karaban, the forward out of
Alex
Utah.
Karaban. Interesting. We trade up for him. That's an interesting one because that was one of our second round prospect guys that we had listed here. So we still have our second second round pick, right? Pick 45.
That's still out there because the deal was our pick 34 and a future second. So yeah, we haven't gotten the full
Dang, these guys
detail,
are fast.
I haven't, but
This is perfect. So Jonathan Wasserman actually just came out with a little article here. He already had it prepped, ready to run for the Kings. So let's talk about this. Let's talk about Alex Karaban, right? Alex Karaban, the forward out of UConn, won multiple titles for that team. He was a focal point. So let's read this excerpt here from Jonathan Wasserman. The Sacramento Kings have officially selected Alex Karaban with the number 29 pick in the 2026 NBA draft. Reaching 3 Final Fours in 4 years has persuaded scouts to ignore Alex Karaban's flaws. He's earned the reputation for being a winner and using his limited but valuable skill set and intangibles to impact games. Upside isn't the draw to Karaban, it's his fit and maturity that suggests he can join any rotation and find a way to contribute, whether as a shot-making role player or a locker room presence. His game hasn't changed all that much over the last 3 years, yet interest in Karaban has slowly grown. In college, he averaged 13.2 points, 5.2 boards a game, 2.4 assists. He shot 37% from three, 46% from the field overall, as an 85% free throw shooter. 6'6", basically 6'7", 225 pounds. So he's 23 years old, so he's an older player too. Interesting that we traded up for him. I do wonder what his role is actually going to be. They drafted him though. They traded up for him though, so I do think that there's a possibility that we do see Alex Karaban on the floor for us next year. So I don't know how you feel about that.
Yeah, I mean, it depends. I mean, we're going to see him as early, obviously, as the Cali Classic, and we'll kind of see the impact that he's gonna provide. But from a depth standpoint, I don't think it hurts to have another forward on the team.
For sure, absolutely.
Yeah, we'll see kind of what his impact is going to be. It's interesting to me that the Kings didn't feel he would be there at 34. That's basically what that trade told you, right? So
for sure, yeah. But then when we look at,
it also said that like they weren't that open to other players. Basically, they went in with the belief that they wanted to go get Alex Karaban.
Right, exactly. So if that's their guy, I mean, nothing wrong with that. Some of the dudes on the board was Chris Sinak Jr. from Houston, Malik Thomas from Arkansas, Darius's teammate, Koa Pete from Arizona still available, Isaiah Evans, the guard from Duke, Henry Vassar, the center from UConn. You had Richie Saunders, Baba Miller, Trayvon Brazil. It'll be interesting to see, again, with the Kings at 45, it'll be interesting to see what direction they end up going here. With some of the names that are on the board, though, there's still a lot of good guys who will fall to them at 45, and it'll be interesting to see the reaches that some of these teams make. But for the guys that are available, I thought Alex Karaban was one of the targets for the Kings, and he must have done a good enough job on his workout when he was here. But you bring a versatile skill set for a guy who makes winning plays, so I think that there's a chance that his veteran presence, his veteran college experience and his ability to play on winning teams is something that translates over to the pro level.
My thing you just said, and is that Koa Pete was on the board. And, I mean, I watched Koa Pete because I started focusing in on Arizona basketball and, for the pod and for you. But, like, Koa's a nice player. And so that, to me, would have been an interesting pick. But now he's off the board as I think the Mavs just took him? Who was after the Kings? Yeah, the Mavs just took Koa Pete, so he's off the board.
Oh, okay.
Personally, I would have done Koa Pete.
Colin Merez. Interesting.
At 29. But
yeah, it would have been nice to add that kind of athlete to the roster for sure. That it's a very stark difference with Karaban versus Pete.
Big time.
So yeah, shout out to Koa. The Arizona boys both go in the first round. That's good for them. That's good for Arizona. Good look, but the first round is now complete.
Wow.
Right? There's not two more picks, right?
Nope,
yeah, so the first round's complete. The Kings end up with Darius Acuff and Alex Karaban, who we traded up for. So this will be, we didn't trade up for Darius. That was the important part, right? So I think day one, good haul. So I feel pretty good about that. I don't know about you, Benny.
Yeah, it's a good draft. I'm not mad at all. I'm happy.
So I think, that's going to be it for the first round discussion. Again, we were really just trying to see who the Kings drafted here. And again, we end up with Darius Acuff Jr., bro. This is such a cool day for Sacramento.
Rate
a W.
Real quick.
Rate the pick, like what? Like
1
rate
to
it?
10. 10 being like, no, not numbers. Let's do the letter grade. If you can do A, B, C, D, E, F, not E.
I think it's an A. I think what's keeping it from being an A+ is we have no idea what he is on defense.
Yeah.
But I have faith in Darius and what he can do, and I think we're going to get some very exciting play right out of the gate when he plays in the California Classic, which is back home in Golden One Center, which is going to sell. It gives me the reminder of like when we first had it, and we drafted Marvin, and
Yeah.
the way that arena got filled up for the number 2 pick, and then he hit the dunk, and everyone was like going crazy. I feel like it's gonna be something like that for Darius. Only he's gonna hit like 4 step back threes, and then we're just gonna be going crazy. So,
I mean, how needed is that kind of a vibe for Sacramento after the kind of season that fans just had to be put through?
oh yeah, we definitely need it. And like,
Huge.
listen, like even if he's not amazing this year, like even if he hits growing pains, and it's not like 28-7 like he was in college, right? If he comes out here and has like a Foxy level rookie season, which I actually think he's gonna have a better chance to go like 18-7 or something like that. Depending on, again, this depends on the veterans and how they want to use them. But Darius has the ability to be the offensive focal point for us. And I think he's exactly what this team needs. Exactly what they need. Like, we didn't overthink it, and we got him by staying pat. This is exactly what we could hope for.
Here. So I'm gonna save my draft grade because next week you are not gonna be with me doing a pod. It's just gonna be me, myself, and I. And guys, I'm gonna hold down the fort, but I'm gonna talk about the Sacramento Kings and their draft in its entirety. I'm gonna give my grade on it. I'll probably get some insight from Marcos just so that we can keep him here in spirit. But I'm going to save my grades for then. I'm going to send you off before we close this thing out with a quote from Darius Acuff after his draft. And this is per Frankie Corticelli, who posted and said, Darius Acuff Jr. on Sacramento Kings fans' reaction on drafting him at 7. It was great to see Kings fans celebrate like that. They're showing love. I'm going to show love right back. I'm excited to be there. Welcome to Sacktown, Darius Acuff Jr.
Young ball demon Darius, baby. Come on. This is going to be fun, bro. Dude, this is going to be sick. I can't wait. It's going to be, again, this is just going to be interesting. Like, this is great for business. This is great for the Kings business. It's like, you're going to watch Darius and forget all about Vivek for, like, the first 3 games until we lose, and then it'll be like, Vivek sucks again. So it'll be great.
Yeah, exactly.
So this was the 2026 first round. Again, we didn't, we missed a lot of picks, but we wanted to talk about the guys we're going to be seeing the most and some of the interesting storylines that for some of the dudes we were paying attention to. This was an interesting draft. Nothing, not much in the way of trades, in the early rounds, so that didn't end up coming true in that sense.
Nothing big, at least, yeah.
Yeah, nothing big. Bucks ending up with Burries and Amet, that's cool for them. When we look at that whole Bucks haul, now that you include those two, plus what they got, plus the future picks that they have, they did a good job surviving, losing the franchise in Giannis. So good for them. But for Sacramento, we get to start our franchise anew with a franchise point guard potentially. So stay tuned, everybody. We're gonna definitely, next week I won't be here, but we'll definitely talk Summer League when that comes, and we'll be locked in seeing how our young bull looks. And I'm interested to see like who they play, like who, are we gonna see Neek? Are we gonna see Maxime? Are we gonna see Cardwell? Like are those guys gonna get to play with Acuff early already and establish that connection? That'll be huge.
I hope so. How exciting!
I know, it's interesting, right? Like, it feels different. Like,
it does.
When we got Neek in them last year, we were like, oh, okay, cool, this is cool. But, like, we hit on a pick, it feels like. And, man, especially in round 2, like, we definitely have guys to look out for. Some names I'm looking out for: Joshua Jefferson, Baba Miller, Alex Karaban. Like, there's going to be some dudes that – this is a deep class. Like, there's going to be some dudes that we can get. And we have pick 35. That's early in the second round. Like, that's exactly where you want to be. So it'll be interesting to see who we end up nabbing.
Yeah, I will say, like, to your comment on drafting, like, Darius versus the boys last year, with Neek and Maxime, it was different because you didn't view them and where you picked them as, building block pillar type players. Now, after the season played out, you look at him and at least you look at like a guy like Max and his impact on the season, and you're like, yeah, this is a guy you can totally build around. He could be maybe the third best on a championship or winning team at best, and then you look at Neek and he's just a super solid backup, roster or rather a deep roster built style player. And now with this pick, the Darius pick, what separates and differentiates itself from these guys is this is your building block. Like, this is the guy you are investing in as a key, foundational piece of your roster moving forward. And that, to me, is the difference here between those picks. And that's the part that's cool.
Yeah, and he takes a lot of pressure away from a lot of these guys. Like Keegan Murray gets to still go back to being exactly what he wants to be, that 3-and-D guy. He doesn't have to be the guy taking every shot. He gets to work his way back next year and help ease this young guard, taking the experience he got from Fox and trying to help Darius be the best player that he can be. And I'm excited, dude. I think we just have such a nice mix of players here, especially if guys like Precious come back and all of a sudden we have versatility all around Darius. That's exactly how he thrived in college, and that's exactly what I'm looking for here. So I feel great as a Kings fan. It feels like the season's going to be one to watch no matter what. So that's always a great feeling to have.
Agreed.
I think we're out of the bottom three for sure. So with that being said, guys, this was episode 131 at the Behind the Back podcast. Kings ended up with Darius Acuff Jr. That is a win for the Behind the Back podcast. It's a win for Sacramento Kings fans everywhere. So for all of you guys watching on YouTube, you guys have the links to descriptions right here. And then for all you audio listeners out there, the links to descriptions are down below. Please give us a like, subscribe, rate, review, and follow the show. Hope you enjoyed watching us react in real time to the Darius Acuff pick and to some of the other noise that we got to see. I'm excited to see this young class go for it, and I'm excited for Summer League now more than ever because we get to see our boys. So with that being said, my name is Marcos Conan Grum. Beside me here as always is
Ben the Jet Reds.
All right, y'all. I won't talk to you next week, but Benny will. We will talk to you in a bit. Peace.